Hey, Christina here. Welcome to my crystal art series. Today I will be taking you through the design process behind my Galactic Passion Energy piece. Let's go. So before I start anything, I really like to gather some photos that are going to inspire me when creating this piece. So I built a mood board of ideas, and mainly a lot of my ideas were focusing on space, the galaxy, the Milky Way. I was also looking at spills randomly, like milk spills, because of their little blobbiness designs that it creates when it falls on the floor. I thought it was rather unique, and I wanted to also look at garnet itself as a stone and what type of features it has. I found that it has a lot of golds inside the stone, very speckled like on the stone. It has a mixture of purples, oranges, yellows, and reds within the garnet stone. So I really want to accentuate that through this piece. And then moving on to looking at some floating islands. I thought this was kind of neat because I wanted to tie this piece into the universe and the universe's energy and what it brings to us down here on Earth. And sometimes when we need to seek our true selves or seek a higher being of ourselves, sometimes we need to meditate and go up, all the way up into the universe to see our higher selves. So this floating platform idea kind of made me feel like they were steps going all the way up to the universe to see who you truly are all the way up there and what the universe defines you to be, or who you are meant to be. So this was kind of the idea that I had in behind the whole universe galaxy idea. I also looked at stars, so stardust, constellations, all those types of astronomy things. I love astronomy, so I really liked this piece for its story. I also looked at clouds and how their texture is, looking at different shades of reds. What kind of reds did I want to use? Did I want something really hot and warm, or something a little bit more cool and subtle? Red is a difficult color to work with sometimes, but this was the thought process behind making this piece and how I wanted it to look and feel. So I started this in Procreate. I used the monoline brush tool to lay out my shapes, and I wanted to keep the shapes really fluid. I didn't want any hard edges, kept them really round and blobby like, and I wanted to get a sense of flow in between the positive and negative space in between these shapes, because yes, there's tension a little bit in the piece, but I wanted to have flow in between to all of these little islands, to the actual large sections of the piece. I just wanted your eye to flow around in and out of the piece, just a bit playful. And then next I wanted to add in the base colors, and this time I tried a dark background. I know I normally do white because I like clean backgrounds and keeping things very simple, but I wanted to try something a little bit different because our universe is black. We don't know what it consists of. So I wanted to kind of play on that concept. And I kept the colors very monotone like. I was going to bring in an accent color later. So I came in with the Signet brush and the Hearts brush. These types of brushes have a cloud-like effect to them. So very fluffy edges, and I thought it would play well in the piece. So bringing in some variety of brush strokes and energy, and mixing the brushes with red and pink and bringing those into the piece as well, because I wanted to bring in depth and interest. I didn't want the colors to look flat. Now for the top section, I started to twist some things around. I brought in a accent brush, which was called Twisted Tree Brush. And this kind of mimicked the floating island concept that I had in mind. And this was more of an emphasis to that idea of these floating platforms bringing you up into the universe. And I thought that was really neat. And bringing in that accent at the top really brings in a little bit of a focal point. And that was kind of my idea behind that. Now the next part was adding in another accent color. So I found that this piece had a little bit more of a purpley pink tone to it. So I brought in the complementary color of purple, which is yellow. So I muted it down a little bit to gold because that's what garnet has within its stones. So I wanted to keep to that characteristic, but add in a playful gold color using a couple of brushes. I brought in a reed brush, a noise brush, and a studio brush to mix it all in. And this yellow/gold tone I wanted to bring in was the idea of stardust, because in the Milky Way, along the edges, you got that misty kind of look and a glowy effect. So I wanted to bring that in to really harness that Milky Way galaxy magical kind of feel, the magic of the universe within ourselves, because the universe aligns things to us that makes great things happen, makes something inside you light up. There's a whole spectrum of things that the universe can do to us on a spiritual level, and I wanted to bring that into play. Lastly, I wanted to come in with the reed brush and highlight some areas for some contrast and to guide your eye a little bit more to the floating islands. So I have hints of little accents of white around the piece, and it's kind of guiding your eye into that middle point of the piece, because that's where those islands are. And it's just another small way of directing your eye. I laid out my work in Illustrator, and I set up a 8.5 by 11 canvas, and I made two 4x6 rectangular boxes, and I put them together, and basically I've split the middle down and made a line guide to show me where the middle of the card was. And from there, I merged the two shapes together to create one big rectangle. And on my right side, I placed my artwork there because that's the front of the card. And on the back, I put in its information. So logo, name of the card, contact info or website. So normally your details go on the back. And then from there, I put in my crop marks. So those little crop marks on the edge of the rectangle. So each corner has a crop mark, and this helps to cut it down to size when I am done with printing. And from there, my artwork, usually I go and stretch the artwork beyond the crop marks because that's where I want to cut off the artwork so that there's no outlines of the paper outside of that. So going to my drafting table, after I finished printing out my piece on cardstock, I laid out my piece on my scoring board, and I used my small scoring utensil to indent the page so I can see where I'm going to make the fold line, and then I flip it over, line everything up again, and I indent the page all the way down. But I make sure I do it softly because I don't want it to go right through the page. It will mess up the fold. And the next is cutting. So once I cleared everything off of scoring and moving on to cutting, I brought out my cutting board and my ruler and X-Acto knife, and I lined up my ruler to those crop marks that I made, and that helps to be more precise when cutting things down. I normally don't use scissors. The X-Acto knife is more exact in its name, but I wanted to clean everything up and cut everything down. And then I have a tool that helps me clean up the fold, so it makes sure that the fold is done seamlessly. So I use a bone tool is what it's called to smooth out the fold line, because I prefer not to use my hands, but basically that cleans up the fold and makes it look super nice. And now we're ready to add some paint. Alright, so let's add some interest to this piece. So we were playing with the accent color yellow, so let's emphasize that a little bit more. So I brought in my gold glitter paint and my gold metallic paint, and I played around with both of them. And I wanted to emphasize the magic stardust and the richness of the universe and the magic that it passes down to us when we need it most. So these little things can really add to the piece. And I thought that once I finished adding these small little details to the piece, it really dressed everything up and it really made things magical, just how I wanted it. So this is basically my piece, and I'm happy that you guys joined in and followed along with me. I hope that you guys stick around for more of my videos, and hope to see you soon. Have a good day, guys. Keep smiling.